really want you to look at this transition. So this transition is probably the most informative. So it gives us the indication of two things. First, please have a look at the way how the feet contact the ground. So that's really an indication of a challenge, because we just seen that the kneeling position he is very active. We will see further that in the sitting position he is doing good counterbalancing. Of course, we're going to, we see that he is very active in crawling performance. But once we are looking at this feet contact, what we are seeing, or to be precise, what we are not seeing, we don't see any participation of the toes, and we don't see any participation of the foot, because you see the automatic good reaction, or at least some reaction there, that instead of getting to the ground with the back of the toes, it has to be at least the bottom of the toes, right? That's the kind of first point. The second thing, that instead of just dragging on the surface, what should be happening? The toes, once they find the surface, they sort of automatically reach for it. So when the toes, they strike the ground, right? So you see that's probably not the best illustration, but when the toes strike the ground, they grip. That's their automatic response, gripping to the ground. And once they grip, then you've got the activation that goes up through the leg. So what happens in Charlie's situation? We don't have any grip to the ground. So like he's really not reacting to the ground with the feet at all. Of course, if you kind of put him into the standing frame and put the toes flat and blah blah blah, so you can sort of extract some of this contact, but it's going to be purely just like the equivalent of putting the shoe. So it has nothing to do with his own reaction. So because we have to remember this basic thing, that when we activate the foot, right, so you see it has to be once the toes are getting engaged, so the entire plantar fascia gets engaged at the bottom. Then if we look at the foot from the front, then you will get let me get this right. So no, this one is missing it. So then we get the activation of all these anterior muscles. And if we get the drawings here, so what should be happening here? So, and this is not a great engagement, it's relatively poor, but at least you can see here this is a child who clearly connects the toes to the ground. And this connection is really, really important, because when it splits like this, you've got two lines. So one line, or a competition. So one line goes through the back and through the bottom of the foot towards the heel, and then reaches out towards the Achilles and the back of the leg, right? And the other line, that's the one that reaches through the front, and then it goes to the foot extensors, it gets the activation of the knee, and it goes to the side of the leg, to the trochanter, and all these other good things. So, for example, tiptoeing, that's obviously the situation when there is a reaction, but this reaction goes through the back. So what we want to build this reaction that would go through the front. But the first thing there is to get the toes responding, right? Because we have to remember that the entire foot is rather complex thing. So because the entire foot is 27 active bones, right? So you see, this is what I really want to highlight, that the foot is 27 active bones. And if the person is not using those 27 active bones, of course, everything that connects further to the muscles and so on, because the muscular links, it's a two-way street, bottom up and top down. So in that sense, having the 27 active bones in the foot is really extremely important. And The ones which really start the process are the toes.